Hey guys, welcome back to Frenemies. I'm Ian. We're back with more Superman and Lois. In the last episode, Clark, he might have been intending to kill that there Lex. I don't think he knows it's Lex yet, but he's trying to kill that guy. It seemed like even like he punched through the armor, and I saw it, but it didn't click what he was intending to do. And sorry if I sound a little off. Kinda, spring is my enemy. Allergies they come in with a vengeance. COVID can't take me out, but boy howdy, hand me some allergies. Yeah. Clark, he punched through that freaking suit of armor like nothing. And when he was talking to Eileen, he was like, what did he say? He's like, basically, I don't remember the first part he said, but essentially, find him so I can end him, especially what he was, or end this. Or did he say end him? Either way, it sounded like he was kind of teetering there. Mainly, his family is on the line. Like, he's not sure whether this guy knows about his other life, because he's called him only Kal-El. He's never referred to him as Clark. So he only knew his real, birth name. He doesn't know his given name, his real given name. He just knows him as Superman and Kal-El. And we also saw a look at him at Captain Luthor, who maybe it's not Luthor. They never said Luthor. Somebody commented. I think somebody commented. Either somebody commented or Blindwave mentioned that they never said out loud Lex. So it could be another Luthor. Which is possible, but I feel like it would be I feel like it had to be Lex, considering that they've always been enemies. But that could be the way of throwing us off. But yeah, on their planet where Superman attacked, he killed a bunch of the soldiers, and he was in a black suit, which normally doesn't necessarily mean he's evil. Normally that's depicted as like him coming back from, dying. Except, during the Elseworlds crossover where the black suited Superman was evil, but that wasn't really Superman. That was Dr. Destiny, as I realized upon looking it up, which I probably should have done during the discussion. But anyway,
Dad, I'm pretty sure that's just slang for poop.
Hey,
Jonathan, don't be gross. Also, he's not wrong.
Mom, can we just pick something? If you make up your mind.
Don't do it, Mom.
What about this color? You like this color?
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah?
Yeah. Asking for the husband's tribute.
Anything but Dad's color!
oh come on! You really want to do this?
Tricks.
I'm Superman, bro. You don't want this.
Come on, you can do better than that.
Dude. Oh man, come on, let me be a family man for a little bit. The old classic, huh?
Hey, short stack. Why is it every time I see you, you're flirting with my girlfriend?
Look, I don't know what you're talking about.
Hey guys! Wow, this place is really not changed since I went here.
You could have said something this morning, but instead you lied to our faces.
It wasn't a lie, you just didn't ask.
How long have you been doing this? Since we moved here, our whole lives?
It's not like I'm listening all the time.
That is the wrong answer. I thought you said it was okay for me to go to school.
It is.
Yeah.
Jordan, having a new power is a lot.
Yeah, so that was a lie too.
Oy.
Hey man, they're teenagers, bro. It's gonna happen. So far, so good.
Do you remember the first time I caught you listening in on me?
How could I forget? Thought I was gonna lose you forever.
You almost did.
Pretty sure I spent about a week's salary on flowers just to get you to talk to me again.
It was 2, and you got off easy because I was still madly in love with you.
1, 2, 3, 4.
7, 8.
Hey!
Oh, whoop, off timing.
What is with the timing? Sarah!
What? You know what, Mom? I quit. How about that?
Sarah, get back here. Sarah!
We're gonna see her later at home, Sarah. I mean,
Ken, is that your brother?
oh, what are you doing, Jordan?
Practice is on Saturday. He's a walking Disney movie in cleats. Hey,
Jordan, you can't use your powers, dude.
Trying out for the team. Jesus, Jordan. So the strength is This is my lane now, bro.
the strength more, I mean, useless, or is it something that's more more of an idle thing?
Hey, where you going, QB number 2? Not so fast.
Excuse me, coach.
You got the big cheese running lot for a little brother and you didn't say nothing to me? Someone's running today, smartass. You give me 5 for keeping that from me. Yeah, go on.
What?
Pick up the pace, dog. Put 5 on it.
What? You can't. What?
Coming from the most full of crap lady in all of Smallville.
Okay, Sarah.
No, you act like our family's so awesome when it's literally a dumpster fire.
Enough.
Dad sleeps on the couch every night. Sophie bullies all of the kids in her class, and you can't go to bed without taking a pill.
I said that's enough.
At least give me the chance to prove I'm right.
Look, this isn't the Daily Planet. We don't have the resources to run an investigation for weeks on end.
But you hired me to write this kind of story.
How about now? We good now? I gotta admire her, you know, drive to just keep her foot planted, though. Considering Lois is her hero. That sucks.
But you don't happen to drive a station wagon that's on fire right now.
Not normally.
I will support whatever decision you make. I just want you to be able to live with him.
I love you.
Still.
Thanks for the flowers.
Little moments. I haven't seen good old Lex in a while, or Luthor, for the time being.
Shouldn't have kissed Sarah. It wasn't cool.
All right.
Yeah, thanks.
Team that plays together stays together. All right, who's next up?
Oh! I still wasn't expecting that, though. I gotta give props to him on that one at least. But crap, he's in trouble.
You know what? Everything you do is a mistake. You get fired, you bring us here. You know, I just wish you would go back to not being around anymore.
Go upstairs.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah.
I appreciate you sticking up
No,
for your brother.
look, it's not even like that. You should have seen him out there. He's making friends. He's been happy for the first time in forever.
Just gotta
Jonathan.
ease it back a little bit as well.
Okay, maybe he's a little stronger, but maybe that does even the playing field for a kid his size.
You don't know that.
Neither do you. I know that having powers is a total game changer, but what's the point of having something special if you're not actually allowed to be special?
Yep, there it is. There he is. Beep, beep, beep. Ooh, that was gonna hurt. Stab him. Stab him in the hand. Wrist. Eye. Me. Oh! Oh? That's not good. Are you a Metallo? You forget Lois has a thing. It's practically Everybody knows. Laser vision. Laser vision. Laser vision. In the knee at least. Doesn't seem to be hurting him at all. Clark isn't. Missouri is. Oh.
Sharon?
Oh. That's my wife, bro. Yes, I was gonna say use your freeze breath, but he was getting punched in the face a lot, so. Can you break out? Oh. You may be strong, but how fast can you move, brother? Here's the stab. The stab in the ear, it didn't really do much.
It's like the only future that I saw for myself was a life that I didn't want.
You saw yourself turning into me.
That's not what I meant.
No, it's okay. It's true.
Why do you pretend?
It's how I was raised. Always smile at your neighbor. Never let them see the heart inside. Do you know what kind of life would make you happy?
I don't know. I guess I'm figuring it out.
Yeah, me too. Come here. I miss you so much.
So, is creepy lurking one of your superpowers now?
Nah, that's my friend. Say it.
Come on.
Ah,
I want to show you something.
I had an opening.
You want to be an assistant coach?
I just want to help out. I don't know if you know this, but I was actually the team manager back in high school.
LinkedIn resume notwithstanding, you're a little late. We've been staffed up since the summer.
Friday's gonna be your first game?
Yeah, quit the cheer team. Are you still gonna go?
Do you want me to?
I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, it might be fun to see as
Watch.
a bystander.
Yeah. Well, they watch and cheerleading, but you know.
Your
different.
dad seems like he's really struggling.
yeah, Dad's a new assistant coach.
Do you need any help, Mr. Katz?
Hey, sir.
Nah.
Great. Hey, Coach gave me a jacket and I bought a hat.
They still, yes, they can still implement the goofy Clark.
Practice, guys.
Oh boy.
He's like, you guys are getting
All
along,
right,
huh?
all right, all right. Just pretend like you need my help with this, all right?
Yeah. Really. Ow, come on. Too much? A little too big?
No, too much.
Not too much.
Where'd you get this?
From the gas station near the motel. This feels big, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Good job,
Well, it's
Chrissy.
up to us to put it all together.
She's good.
Who are you, and why is a person with powers working for Morgan Edge?
Powers? Say Lana.
It's done. I'll call a team.
I'm sorry? Come again? Yeah? Yeah. Sure. Okay. So, actual Kryptonian or not? Who's that supposed to be? I mean, it's not like there aren't other Kryptonians, which is funny considering they always refer to Clark as the last son of Krypton, even though others will show up eventually, like Zod. But Kara technically, I mean, she's like, whatever. She is a Kryptonian. Well, granted, not a son, but you know what I mean. Okay. Hold on. Who'd he say? Who's gonna take care of it? Lar. Who the heck is this? Who's Lar? Is it a name I know and I just forgot, or he seems to know who this was. She's like, well, this is it for me. I'm donezo. Who are you? Well, okay, so he's not powered. I was thinking maybe Metallo. I mean, just because he was stabbed in the freaking ear and wasn't phased, doesn't necessarily have to be Metallo. But I don't know, it just didn't. I mean, it didn't break in his ear like it would maybe if he was a Kryptonian or someone durable. Like it plunged into his head and he was fine, and he was super strong and durable enough to take a punch from Clark. Granted, I don't think Clark was hitting him with everything he had, because he would suspect like, hey, this is either first off, it's like possible human. Then when obviously the attacks didn't do much, she's like, okay, gotta put a little more oomph into it. But he's dealt with, other foes with super strength, and durability. So I mean, he just put as much as he figured what would be good for that moment. Although there were, I don't know, it did knock him out, or he did knock him out. This guy knocked Clark out for a couple seconds. So is that lady supposed to be Lar? The name doesn't ring a bell. Was it supposed to be somebody that we've already met, and like it's a name that we already heard that we've already met, and I just don't remember? Very possible, but I don't think so. It doesn't sound familiar. For a split second, I thought he said Lana. I'm like, no. I don't think that she's into anything shady. Man, I wasn't expecting that part. Like the whoever this at this point in time, assumedly Kryptonian woman just show up and murder this guy. Well, I can't say he didn't necessarily deserve it, because who knows what all he's done for Morgan Edge, but still, that's unfortunate, because that was kind of one of our leads. Now he's dead, but that's a lead in a way in and of itself, but they don't know what it was or who did it. They've never seen her before, and I don't think where there were any cameras around. I could literally go back and check, but I don't really want to. I'm fairly confident there were no cameras around where they were at. Pretty sure it was like in the middle of nowhere. I'm gonna look like such a fool if there was like city and traffic lights and crap. There were, where there are usually sometimes traffic cameras. Obviously, family issues seems to be an element, is going to be a running element in this show, which I'm totally fine with. And I love the moments where it's like just them being a happy family, having family moments. And I really enjoy, what's funny is like a lot of times when they do drama in shows, CW is really guilty of this, especially. It tends to wear, and where this kind of sort of almost borders that, but it makes sense and it's real, because like these are teenagers, dealing with also elevated issues, not just regular teen issues mixed with elevated issues. Like Jordan, he's dealing with having issues of fitting in, social anxiety, along with having abilities, or possibly first having abilities, and then he was okay with, he was excited about that, and then finding out that his powers were weak. Finding out being told his abilities were in his interpretation or his translation lame. So that's just gonna constantly compound against each other, and again, like a teenager already, people in general don't like being eavesdropped on, and constantly monitored. But when a teen finds out they're being monitored constantly by their parents, and when they find out their parents eavesdropping, they lose their mind. And considering he's using his super hearing to essentially almost always listen to them while they're at school, you know, that finding that out after all this time and him telling him, you know, I'm not always going to be there, that's going to hit something and piss them off. And you know what? All things considered, got over it pretty quickly. And the next day, he apologized and promised he wasn't going to do it again. Mom said, you know, explained the whole flowers thing, that when she found out. I love that they did that too. I'll get back to that in a second. But, you know, all that. And they're like, you know, excuse me, sorry, you know what? It's fine. I'm fine with it. You know, it's whatever now. But yeah, going back to Lois, I love that they brought that up to kind of, for anybody that may be frustrated with the sons, which I get. I mean, it's just kind of annoying to run into because dealing with that in real life is frustrating. But when, you know, she brings it up, it's like people will relate to that more. They're like, okay, yeah, I get it. You know, if someone isn't going to like being monitored 24/7, isn't going to like being, you know, like they're being babied or watched all the time. And it feels invasive. So I like that they brought that up to just kind of like, you know, it's an understandable point to be frustrated at and to get pissed at once you find this out. So, and I feel that issue on its own was quickly dealt with. And throughout it, we also had Lois. Lois. Well, we did have Lois, but I meant we had like Lana and her family issues dealing. We were focusing on quite a few different elements, but they were also the same as well. Like with her and Sarah, and what, you know, Sarah kind of acting up as well, being a teenager. You know, teenagers are tough to handle a lot of the times when they hit that point in their lives. There's just so much angst, stress, and hormones going through that, you know, the emotions flare up. And you become irrationally angry at anything that moves. So it's easier to not get as annoyed, you know, like to not be annoyed in the same way as if watching this happen with adults in drama. I mean, again, people will still get angry. It's not like when you become an adult, obviously you don't stop being angry. You'll become irrationally angry sometimes in your life, so it happens. But it's just the way that I guess the teenagers here, the way that the boys and Sarah kind of flared out seems a little bit like if an adult were to do like that, it would be very frustrating and very annoying and hard to watch on a TV. On a TV. I don't know why it sounds weird. But with, you know, the stuff going on with Sarah, like, it's a very real issue they're dealing with. Like, not just the suicide and or the attempted suicide and the mother, the parent wanting to get answers and keeping a watch on their child since that point, and that kind of sort of pushing the child away as well. That happens. And that reasoning behind the attempted suicide is also, I don't know how common, but it's like one of the common what's the word I'm looking for? Reasonings behind attempted and successful suicides. You know, feeling trapped in your life, feeling like your life's not going to go anywhere. Like everything just kind of feeling pointless, coming to a point that you don't feel like you want to end at. So it's, I feel like this show does it really well, personally, and I like how it didn't necessarily drag it out, even though something like that would be dragged out, like the issue that Sarah's having with, the mother wanting to know the reasoning and Sarah having attempted suicide before, like a year. I think it was the year before, right? Like issues like that can last for a while. Granted, the issue itself hasn't been dealt with. Like she's still going to be dealing with that feeling of feeling trapped until she can find her place or where she wants to go. But I like that, like the tension between, or the antagonistic tension between Sarah and Lana isn't quite there. It's at least been like it's understood now. Wow, understood now. They've talked it out. They've I was gonna say consolidated, but I can't. It's not the word. But they've come together, and it's things are looking better on their point. Kyle is still, them. There's the whole family issue isn't dealt with, but a small fragment of it is, and that's a good step forward. I don't know what's going on with Sophie, why she's just suddenly going into bullying, but we don't know a whole lot about Sophie. She's not really shown a whole lot. But maybe we'll get into that. I mean, I don't know if they'll have like a huge following Sophie, but I mean, maybe that'll get worked out eventually, like maybe on the side, or Sarah will talk to Sophie or something like that. But Kyle, I feel like that's gonna have to be addressed a little more directly. And the thing with Jordan and Jonathan and Clark and them, that was rough to watch. Like whenever in the first episode when he's like, what is it he said? You weren't here to be a father. Like that hurt. But this one's, I don't know. I feel like it was worse. What is it he said exactly? Let's see. Everything you do is a mistake, and I wish you would go back to not being around. Like, I definitely feel like that was worse, because you being around is worse than before, than when you weren't here. So that's oh man, and I love what Lois said. That's what I would have said. I'm gonna say it anyway, but that's something I've said before. It's like, I mean, look, they didn't mean it. They're a teenager. They're being riled up. Emotions are flaring. That being said, it doesn't make it right, but it isn't something he didn't mean what he had said. It's just unfortunately something that happens. Someone will say something they don't mean to say, and it's worse because he's a teenager. It's just teenagers have it rough. Like they're just dealing with a whole lot that they don't understand, and other stuff that it's just rough. But I love that Lois, they voice it in the show. It's like, it's almost like they're trying to calm the audience down as well. It's like, I can't believe he said that. What a douchey thing to say. How could he say that to his parent? Which, when we a lot of us know that, not going to say everybody, but majority of us have probably said something to that degree to our parents at one time in our life. We regret saying it. Whenever we look back at saying it, it's always just like a cringing moment. It's like, oh God, I can't believe I said that. I'm so sorry. I want to go back to them and say I'm sorry that I said that. For those that may not have the best upbringing, parents, that might not be the case. But regardless, most if not all have had that moment. So I'm glad that it was brought up. We're all humans, like Clark said. Nobody's perfect. We all make mistakes. Speaking of which, I was gonna get to this. I love that Jonathan saw that Jordan was actually liking football, and it's an outlet for him. It's something he's needed, something he can actually use to deal with the social anxiety and gain friends because of it. Like he's good at it, partially because of this somewhat heightened strength, but it's not just that. Like he has to know the place still, so it's still gonna be, relatively fair. Like Jordan said, it's kind of evening the odds a bit. Granted, he needs to pull back a little bit more, considering he's sending these kids flying. At his size, that's gonna look really weird, and he could possibly hurt somebody the way he's going. So maybe reel it back a little, Jordan. But I just like that he, picked up on that, and he's I don't know what happened there. I was about to tear up. He's such a great brother that even though it's like at first it felt like he was encroaching on his territory, but seeing how much it's helping him, he's just like, Dad, he needs this. Why am I getting so emotional about this? I feel like creeping up on me, but like, it's so you don't see that a lot. Where even as a sibling, you'll see like you see them kind of going on to something that that's something that's your thing that you're good at. It's something that you're best at, and they're coming into this now, like I said, encroaching on what feels like encroaching on your territory, and sort of feels like they're taking the spotlight away. But then wanting them to have it so they can heal and they can become better. It's just I love that. Like Jonathan's quickly becoming one of my favorite characters in the show. I mean, he's such a great brother. I don't know which one's older, which one came first. They never stated, or did they? Might be Jonathan. It seems like that from the way he acts sometimes, but a lot of times it's always. A lot of times it'll be the younger brother that'll watch out for the older brother in that situation when they're twins, or even when they're just like a year or so, like not much younger than them. Especially when the older one has issues the way that Jordan does, like social anxiety, or is autistic. Sometimes that the younger sibling will want to watch out for and support the sibling. So it's always good seeing that though. And it's interesting because it's just you see the different parenting, and the reasoning behind the different parenting. Like Jonathan, Clark's dad, when he was raising him, he didn't have powers, so he didn't fully understand like what Clark was going through. He did the best he could, with considering what he was who he was raising and like the abilities he had, and he did a phenomenal job. Like look how Clark turned out. But it was different. He understood, but he didn't understand, if you know what I mean. He didn't have the 100% experience of the abilities the way that Clark does. So that being said, he can actually be there a little more for him than Jonathan was. As much as Jonathan was there for him, it's like he can be there for him even a further step. And especially since now he's going to be assistant coach, apparently. Although I thought for a second he was making him a water boy. But he's going to be assistant coach, which is great. I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, it was also like having listened to his father. Clark didn't go out to try out for baseball, but he feels like the regret of not at least trying. And granted, he didn't have he had more strength than Jordan does. I don't know if he had control of it to not at least not break everything he touched, but he didn't if he were to throw a baseball especially in the heat of the moment, would he be able to hold back enough? with Jordan, it's a little bit different considering he doesn't have as much. But still, he can at least teach him how to do so, considering he has to control every second of his life to not break things he touches just as by picking it up. He has, like, that's gotta be tiring, but he does it like it's no issue. But speaking of which, I love, like, we still get, because somebody mentioned in the comments before that they're kind of sad they didn't get to see more of Goofy Clark because of that the fact that Tyler Hoechlin can do that so well. He portrays that side of Clark so well, and he does. It's hilarious, and I love it. It's hilarious, and it's kind of wholesome. And we're getting that just as him being an assistant coach, like having issues carrying this water jug, which we know is nothing. And I love when Jordan is like, "Hey, you need help with that?" And he over exaggerated to such an extent. He knew it was, but he was just goofing off with his son. But I love that this is like their way of keeping that, because they knew that people would probably like to see that still. And that we didn't get to see that when he was Clark at the Daily Planet, because at that point he was more experienced at the planet. He'd been there for a few years now, so it was well, I don't let's see, how old, 15, 16, however old the boys are, that's how long he's been at the planet, which is crazy to think about. But it's just it's such a good way of still keeping that. I will say, I am glad that Christie's come around and realized that there was something going on with Miss Powell. Mrs. Powell, what's her name? I can't remember her name. Sharon Powell. That was weird. Glad she came around to it, and she did a great job, like looking into things that coincided with Lois's car being set aflame. But I have to give her props for sticking up to Lois. One, Lois is a well-renowned journalist from the Daily Planet, and it's her hero, someone she looks up to tremendously. The fact that she had just the guts and that she just stood her ground, and not like she wasn't nervous about it. Like she just the boss, because she's technically the boss of Lois, that she fit the boss role. She wasn't a pushover. I gotta applaud her for that. Like when you're the boss of your idol, a lot of people would be tempted to just kind of like give them a lot of leeway. But she wasn't letting up until her vehicle was set aflame, and she had reasoning to believe. So I wasn't too frustrated with her. I was a little bit, but I was like, you know what? She's not wrong. It could, you can't just jump to the conclusion. Granted, Morgan Edge is, he's a terrible person, but it's just like, this could just be, circumstantial. We can't just, go in already assuming this is what it is. Yes, Sharon Powell, she had been drinking, but she had been going through losing her son because of Morgan Edge, and she was almost killed because of it, because she chose to speak up about it. So there were things that were kind of making the evidence not look too great because it wasn't full evidence yet. There was a lot of circumstantial stuff. So I don't know. Personally, I like her. She has her, what's the word? I'm so bad with remembering simple words, and I hate it so much. She has her, whatever she has, she sticks to it. So there's that. Just a small thing. I mentioned before, loving the happy, family moments, like at the very beginning, the paint fight. I thought that was absolutely adorable and wholesome, and I want more of that. I'm glad it started off like that, and then it can end with Clark having to rush off to China to save the classic bridge breaking, school bus on bridge and other vehicles, all that stuff, saving that. But hey, they continue paint fighting with Adam, so still good. And okay, I don't know if this was anything, but like when he was lifting up the tractor, like there was a crack with the oil leak, and that could just be it could have been natural. Well, you know what I mean, natural, like natural accident. Nothing ominous. But I'm wondering if for some of the way they kind of focused on it, I was like, is that what that is? But I think it was just kind of like lead to him listening to the kids, possibly doing whatever. He'll always be listening in on the kids, or not, he was anyway until now, to see if they need him. But that had to have been hard, like considering he's probably had to deal with that quite a bit before realizing that they share, that at least that Jordan has powers. But like having to listen in and notice that your kids are dealing with issues like bullies, and you can't go in to do something. Like you're able to hear it, and he was there before until he realized that his powers were about to flare up. He didn't go until then, at that very moment, like right before it went something bad happened. But it's still like up to that point, it's gotta suck to be able to hear and get there within an instant and stop yourself from doing that. One thing that surprised me was how things went with Sean, like in Jordan, because I thought that him going against Sean would end badly for Sean. Like he'd go too hard because of his anger and like seriously hurt the kid. But he actually surprised me and said, with saying that I shouldn't have kissed Sarah. It wasn't cool, I'm sorry. Had a handout, and bygones. That was very big of him, considering the power he has, and I mean, not a lot of people that would, be able to do that, especially when they have that power and were, beaten before. It's hard to pass up on the opportunity to kind of like take vengeance for some people. For anyone really. But yeah, I wasn't expecting that turn, to be honest. I don't know if I should have, but I didn't at all. But I'm glad it went that way. And then Dad showed up, and things kind of didn't go too well first, but it turned out everything kind of turned out pretty good at the end. I mean, those Jordan, Jonathan, they're on good terms. They're great now again. Jordan's on the football team. Dad's proud. Dad's there to help watch. Sarah and Lana, they've worked some things out. They're working on, working further. I mean, the rest of the family's still to be decided, but work in progress. And Lana and Chrissy are on a trail. The only thing it didn't work out for was fake Metallo. That is it for this week's episode of Superman and Lois, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. If you want to see next week's episode or stick around for next week's episode, be sure to hit the subscribe button. And if you can check out our Patreon for any Cap series that we have or possible polls that we might do later down the line. Not fully sure yet, but it'd be interesting to try it out.